me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney. In 3, 2, 1.
Pretty relax about Max Fried. I'm not that worried. I'm actually not that worried. What's happening, everybody? BT Unleashed on a Thursday. So let's jump into it. We got a lot to get to tonight. Just give you a heads up and a lot of the games have been leaked already. The Jets Collective, myself and Rich and Jake, we will jump on right at 8. So as that Jet schedule is dropping. Now we know the Jets are going to play the Titans in week 1. So it's the Jets and Robert Saleh. Some of the Giants games have come out. A lot of the national games have come out. We'll get to that as well. But that is tonight. Okay, looking forward to that. As always, today's show is brought to you by Sullivan Papain, my good friends at Sullivan Papain. See them online at triallaw1.com. That's triallaw1.com. Remember the name Sullivan Papain. And by Premio Sausage, the best sausage, the way sausage should be. Find them at premiofoods.com or in your local grocery store. Listen, I'm not gonna front here. It was not a good day for the Yankees yesterday. I obviously understand that. I mean, poor Anthony Volpe, he's back, and he basically looks like the same exact player. We'll get to him in a minute. We'll get to the Yankee offense, which has been beyond dormant and beyond embarrassing now for a while. Max Fried, we will get some update at some point today. J-Rod is feverishly, refreshing Twitter and making sure he's on top of this, whether it's passing, whether it's Buster Olney, all the Joel Sherman, Heyman, everybody who covers the Yankees in Major League Baseball. I'm actually not really worried about this. I'm really worried about the Yankees offense, which I'll get to. I'm not worried about Max Fried for some reason. Well, I mean, the reason that I'm not worried is because of the location of the pain. Now, I'm not saying he's out there in a couple of days and he's making his next start, although yesterday he did say that he actually would hope to make his next start. Listen, guys, it's when you're dealing with the outside part of the elbow, the triceps area, that's almost never Tommy John. It's just not. Tommy John, you talk about the ulnar collateral ligament, and I've got a nice little 6-inch gash here to prove it, is on the inside, all right? And when you think about, obviously, Tommy John, and you think about worst-case scenario for a pitcher, the forearm tightness is generally a great precursor to that. Usually that, is backed up by imaging, and that would really have me alarmed. Like if he said, nah, my forearm doesn't feel right, then I'd say, I almost expect him to be on the operating table. That's one. And then obviously if you actually just feel acute pain right here, that's something else. It's on the outside. Now, I'm not going to play doctor, even though I just did to a degree. But I think that's pretty much common baseball sensibility right there. I don't know. Is it a floating loose bone chip like Tarek Skubal had? I honestly don't know. He's the way he described it, like a hyperextension or almost like he banged it. And, you definitely don't feel that when you're going for Tommy John, when you have that, that basically the kiss of death, at least for 18 months for a pitcher. That's not the case. So it is interesting, though. I mean, man, oh, man, this is why you try to plan things out. You have 162 games. You think you have your lineup. You think you have your starting rotation. You think you have your bullpen. And then, hey, listen, we're going to have to make some tough choices here. Is it going to be Weathers or is it going to be, who's going to the bullpen? Will Warren. So I do want to play this. Booney was on the show yesterday, and obviously this is before Max Fried took the hill and before Max Fried left with injury. And we were talking about, who's best equipped to go to the bullpen. What do you think? And the answer, pretty interesting. Here's Booney. Weathers, I mean, the way he's looked, he obviously looks like somebody who deserves to be a starter. Same with Will Warren. Now, this is ultimately a good thing, but ultimately you're going to have a very tough conversation with one of those two men, unless it might be somebody else, which I doubt. Are you already in your mind playing this out? Like, do you have a sense of those two guys who might right now be more equipped to go to the bullpen? That's a tough call, man.
I try not to get too far ahead of myself with that because ultimately we'll sit down if we have to make a decision and make it. So the good thing, like you said, is, in the case of the guys you mentioned, like they're throwing great. They are really good starting pitchers, obviously, and a big part of what we're doing. So if we have to make a difficult decision when the time presents itself, which is still a ways away, we'll make it.
By the way, did you see how piping hot his coffee was?
Dude, there were a couple of comments from it because immediately when he caught on, I was like, this guy got a smokestack next to him. He's got a little bonfire.
What is Booney lighting up a blunt? Is he banging back a Marlboro to start the day? What the hell's going on?
Yeah,
All right,
no,
so
that thing was hot.
pretty interesting timing there. Yeah, hot coffee's the worst. What I'll do is I made a cup here, obviously, right? Because it comes out of the machine that we have in our home. It's pretty hot. So I'll just drop an ice cube in there, and then it'll say if it goes, I don't think it's quite 100 degrees, but if it goes from, say, 100 to like 80 with the ice cube, you got to know how to work this. I mean, Boone seems like a bit of a coffee rookie there. And he was wearing his head. The funny thing, too, if you guys missed the interview, it was great. We hit a lot of different stuff. And I appreciate Aaron coming on, obviously, before a game, late night the night before. They moved the game up, so he was great with the schedule and, logistically kind of moving some things around. First thing I said, I'm like, dude, why are you wearing your hat like Jazz?
It was funny.
I mean, you look like a ball player, will you? And we talked about Jazz, and we talked about a lot of other stuff. All right, so I get it. I do understand the fear for sure, but I do think a lot of it is premature. And I think now, in 30 minutes we can get the complete opposite, and I'll look like a dope. But I think that those fears will really go unfounded. They will not be proven true. I am not worried about any news today with Max Fried. Worst case scenario, Tommy John, we'll see you in a year and a half. Like, I just don't expect that. And, listen, if that is the case, well, that's a different level of evaluation. I do think that the Yankees pitching is built to withstand a lot. I'd rather not see, Max Fried or one of the top of the rotation guys go. You don't want to see anybody go down because their strength is the surplus of above average pitchers that they have. And when you have that, you've got the ability to absorb some dents and some issues that are going to invariably pop up at some point over the course of a 6-month season. The biggest issue right now is this pathetic, paltry, disgraceful, and disgusting and impotent New York Yankee offense. I mean, it really is the same damn thing every day. If Ben Rice doesn't crank a 2-run shot, if Aaron Judge doesn't have a big night, and if Bellinger doesn't do something, I mean, the Yankees are running out essentially 5 automatic outs. And I understand, you hear the term under the hood, and I love the numbers, and I do believe there's value there. Guys hitting, 202, 177. All right, let's see. Is he hitting into bad luck? What's the barrel rate? What's the whiff rate? What's the chase rate? What's the squared up rate? All those different rates that do tell you a more clear story as to whether or not somebody's just been in a bad luck streak or if they're just really lost. Like, I will at least say this, even though I'm not a Grisham fan, nor am I really a Grisham believer, certainly as a leadoff hitter. But if you look at Grisham's advanced analytics and you look at Jazz Chisholm's, I mean, they are multiple planets apart. I mean, Grisham has truly been victimized by some bad luck, but and Grisham and Jazz has just been an absolute unmitigated disaster. And I'll get back to Jazz in a little bit here. But the reason why I don't lean too heavily on some of these advanced numbers with Grisham, as being maybe a foreshadow to much more favorable results, is because there's just too many years of evidence where he's been a substandard hitter. I mean, now he hasn't always played every day. I get that. And last year he really was good. Plus 800 OPS, 34 bombs. I get it. He was good, but that was the outlier. Like, that proved to be the anomaly here. And you look at these averages, and it's not April 10th or April 20th or May 1st. I mean, we're in the middle of May. We're getting ready for the first Yankees-Mets Subway Series, and we'll get to the Mets in a bit with Benj with some juice and Soto. Oh, my God. I mean, poor Juan Soto's having a rough go, but it looks like he avoided disaster with that foul ball. We're getting ready for the first Mets-Yankees Subway Series, and you got Grisham hitting $175, Jazz hitting 203, McMahon hitting 196, and he's hitting 196 after a 3-week run where he's been pretty good. Volpe's just back, but until further notice, he's still a mess. And Austin Wells just appears to never be the kind of hitter that we either hoped or thought he would be. So while many of you are fixated on Max Fried, and I understand that he's a terrific pitcher, he's a workhorse, he's one of the top 10 pitchers in the game when he's healthy. And when you pair that with Cam, and then you pair that eventually with the return of Garrett Cole, now you've got a rotation that's, as I've said many times, has a real chance to be the best in baseball. you got to put that on pause for a little bit. But again, as I unpack what's wrong with the Yankees, to me, it's very apparent that it's really their offense. And it's crazy because they hit it. But I mean, this part we've seen a lot. They hit a lot of home runs. And I know that Boone, like there's been a lot of talk about like the who is it? The Rays and maybe the Brewers and one other team, not the Dodgers, the Braves, the Brewers. I guess it's the Braves, the Brewers, and the Philly. No, what am I saying here? The Rays, the Braves, and the Brewers have, among the most singles in baseball. Now there's and the Yankees have like the fewest, and they've got one of the worst on base or batting average, or both really, with 2 strikes. Like those are all reflective of a team that, is going to struggle to push across that extra insurance run, which they've done this year. That's why they flushed a couple of gems down the chute last weekend in Milwaukee. The other day with Weathers when he basically threw a no-hitter. And then, Judge gets a double, Belly, grounder to the right side, moves over to third. And what does Jazz do? Swing it for the moon, empty at bat. Yankees leave what would have been a very precious run on third base. So these are things that have plagued the Yankees for a while. Like if you look at, and every team and every season obviously hasn't been the same, but really since 2009, one of the common themes here is that the Yankees have been far too reliant on certainly one guy in Judge, sometimes 2, and there's just been way too many dead spots in their lineup. And like it's one thing if you have guys that have like low averages, which obviously is not ideal, but they're decent on base guys, And I know that Wells has cranked out some walks, and but you look at these other dudes, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I got to be real here. I really do think that the Yankees will be fine this year, unless we get awful news on Fried, which I'm not expecting. But they're going to have to make trades, or they're going to have to get the young buck up here in Lombard. Now, this made some news yesterday. I want to play this. Asked Boone about Lombard. Obviously, he can come up today and play some defense. What about the offense? Is there a chance we see Lombard, which would change a lot for this lineup here in 2026? Here he is. So somebody like Lombard, you could call him up today, and you could put him at third. He'd be great. Short, great. Second, great. Probably throw him in left field. He'd be fine as well. Does he have a chance to be on the team at some point this year?
He's walking a ton. He's hitting the ball really hard. He's hitting some tough luck. He can really defend. So absolutely, I think he could be a factor for us this year. We don't want to race him up necessarily too quick because he's just getting to AAA and he's 21 years old. And he's not far away. I'll tell you that much.
Okay, so you look at the Yankees infield right now, around the horn. First, second, short, third. Obviously, Rice is going to play the lion's share of first base. You got a little Goldie as well. Rice is the man. You got Jazz at second for now. Right now, you got Volpe at short, and you got McMahon at third base. I actually think that there is a real chance that that 75% of the current Yankee infield is different in the playoffs. Rice will remain at first. I think there's a chance either they trade Jazz or start platooning him. And I asked Aaron about that. Straight up about, hey, I mean, if this keeps going on with Jazz, would he possibly be a platoon candidate here? And he didn't say no. He talked about meritocracy, danced around it a little bit because he doesn't want to, railroad his guy Jazz. But if you really listen to the response, you guys could find it on the YouTube channel, I think you got the answer that you were looking for. So I think that is certainly a real possibility. Yeah, I mean, do I think Volpe's playing shortstop in the postseason? Probably not. And then obviously Lombard, if and when he's called up, could impact third base, could impact shortstop, could impact second. I don't really know, but here's what I do know, right? And I really feel badly for Anthony Volpe, and it's one game, and I don't want to go nuts here. That was an easy ground ball. Like the way he caught it. I don't want to get too coachy here on you, but it's almost like he looked like a young shortstop, a young kid playing shortstop who's not really a shortstop. And he's just trying to kind of box the ball up and keep it in front of him. And we started to see that last year when he went backwards defensively. We saw a lot of time. He was going down to one knee. I mean, forget about the throws that are kind of, losing steam as they go across the diamond. That's pretty obvious. He doesn't have a really good arm at all. And the numbers back that up. But it was almost like he was fielding grounders like an outfielder going down on one knee, trying to keep the ball in front of him on a hard hit, 2-hop rocket to the outfield. So I feel terribly for him. He's wearing it. And then here he just comes back. And think about the circumstances, right? So Caballero's balling. And the last thing that Caballero says when he's leaving the clubhouse is, I'm back in 9 days. Not that he's rooting against Volpe, but that in his mind, that is his job. That is his position. And Volpe knows that. He knows that the grip on the position's already gone because Caballero's been terrific. So, you got a dog in Caballero just itching to get, who didn't even want to go on the IL, who fought and kicked and screamed and protested. And that's what Boone told me. And he told you guys as well. So he's coming back and he's going to play shortstop, right? Do I envision the Yankees moving Volpe to second base at some point this year? I don't know. I mean, you're trying to get the kid in the right spot mentally in the batter's box. Now you're going to have him learn a new position. I mean, that's a little risky, although I wouldn't be averse to it. I'm not sure if they will be. And then, obviously Lombard can play second, short, or third. So, and we've seen that in the minors and in spring training. See, the problem with Anthony Volpe, right? And this was really my biggest concern. Now, if you go to my X account and you go probably 4 or 5, I was actually tweeting quite a bit yesterday. If you go down like 4 or 5 tweets, you'll see a video that somebody had a Volpe strikeout. And then, I subtweeted it and I weighed in, right? And it's about a 15 or a 16. I can't play it now because of trademarks and all that other stuff, whatever. So I'll just describe it. And you don't even have to see it to know item number 1, why Volpe is just never going to be a consistent hitter until this is addressed, right? So it's a 15 or 16 second video. 2 seconds in, you see his front foot as, again, not trying to get coachy, but as you load and as you launch. Think about this, right? And it's hard to do for a young hitter, but I mean, he was a first round pick and he's been in the bigs for a couple of years. This should be figured out. And this is what I try to teach my son and I try to teach the kids I coach. Take a rubber band, right? If you take a rubber band and you pull it back like this much, and then you kind of fire it across the room, it's only going to go so far. If you take the same rubber band and you maximize the stretch, and then you release it, it's physics, okay? So when you load and when you launch with your front foot, obviously you want to stay back, and you want to get your front foot on the ground. All right, I'm gonna stop with the hitting coach stuff there, but that's basic stuff. You got to load, you got to launch. You got to stretch, and you got to be ready to just unleash that rubber band, and that's where the contact, the hard contact, the exit velocity, those are the great hitters. It almost doesn't matter what you do. You can stand like this, Euclid. It doesn't matter. Mattingly, Carew. As long as you get to there, you're going to hit, and you can recognize pitches, right? And then as soon as he starts his load and his launch and gets his front foot down, his front foot, you have to see this on my account. His front foot starts to go toward the third base line, third base dugout right away. And if you are a major league pitcher and you see that, all you do is feed sliders away, changeups away, elevate once in a while, okay? Just a little show me fastball upstairs, out of the zone, something that you can't get on top of. When that ball's coming in and it's letter high, it's like, oh, I got this. But then when you actually try to get on top of it, it's really hard to do. Not only for Volpe, for anybody, right? So to me, there is so much wrong with his swing. And the reason why, and I'm rooting for him, and I love him. I really love him. I think he's a great kid. I've become pretty good friends with his dad. I actually texted his dad the other day. I said, welcome back and all that stuff. He got right back to me. I met his pops once. Great guy. Used to listen on the Fan. Came to our show at the Javits Center, and I was waiting around after me and Sal were done, or during one of the breaks, and one of our producers said, "Hey, Mr. Volpe wants to introduce himself." So I went over and I said hi to him, and we really struck up a nice friendship. And you could just—he's a doctor. He's great family. Anthony's a terrific young man, well-mannered, respectful, a great athlete in terms of speed and all that stuff. But his swing is absolutely broken and busted. And the problem with the surgery and the rehabilitation this offseason, see, when you've got a hole in your game, the offseason is when you fix it. Yeah, you can try to tweak during the season, but if there's a mechanical, whether it's shooting like Mitchell Robinson with free throws, whatever it might be, when there is a mechanical overhaul, it's got to be where there's a lot of downtime and there's dead time. Because if you're trying to figure things out and implement, I don't mean little slight tweaks. Those guys are always messing around with little things. I'm talking about a radical overhaul to how you swing the bat. And if you're trying to do that in May or June against these dudes at this level, it's good luck. It's just not going to work. And if it does work, it's not going to be consistently there for you. It's just not. All right. So the problem with Volpe and why I just don't think he's ever going to hit with any sort of consistency is because the period that he could have used to get better, it's not his fault he got hurt. But what should have been a dedicated 3-month window to finally address what's wrong with his swing, the hole in his swing, which for some reason the Yankee coaches didn't find. Can somebody explain? You got to take a little sidestep here. Can somebody explain to me, right? Who a guy, me, and this, I'm talking about me, a guy who played mid-major, not SEC, not Big Ten, not back in the Pac-12, mid-major Division I baseball, and struck out a lot more than I wanted to. How can I watch a 16-second clip and within the first 2 seconds tell everybody what's wrong with his swing? And here we are, year 4, drafted right around COVID. It's 2026, and the Yankee organization has not fixed his swing? How is that possible? I don't understand it. It's one thing if you just don't have like the requisite bat speed or you just can't recognize pitches. Maybe, and I have said about Anthony, and I believe this, he was overdrafted. To me, Anthony Volpe, as a first-round pick with the expectations, not to mention being a Jersey kid, Yankee fan pressure, like that's all stuff that just makes his life more difficult. It's tough for the kid, right? But when you swing that way, you're just not going to be a reliable, consistent night-to-night hitter. And this is not year 1. He's not in high rookie ball where they're like, all right, we knew we can run. We knew we could pick it. He's got a little pop. He's got a little juice. We got to just tweak this. We love the kid's makeup. He's a great from a great family. We know with our coaching that we're going to unlock just that little 10, 12, 15% he's got to fix, and he's going to be an all-star. It is 2026. This is year 4 for Anthony Volpe, year 4. And he's got the same exact swing. The only thing that changes once in a while is, the arc on his swing. Sometimes it's a little flatter, which is good. Sometimes he's chasing, he's chasing power and he's swinging from his heels. Like, it's just a broken swing. And, when you are that vulnerable, I mean, man, you step into a major league batter's box and nowadays, and you're facing everybody's throwing 97, everybody's throwing 98, everybody's RPMs are just the revolutions. They're dropping off tables, whether it's vertical, whether it's horizontal. I mean, what home plate, I think, 17 inches in terms of width? There are pitchers in baseball who actually have 18, 19 inches horizontal break. Think about that. Their break is bigger than home plate. So when Volpe steps in, and they know he's gonna. It's kind of just stepping in the bucket. It's like when you coach in T-ball. Hey, don't step in the bucket, buddy. Come on now, let's get that front foot to the pitcher. It is really one of the more confounding things, and there's a lot of confounding things recently about more than recently about the Yankees. To me, that really might be number 1. It is their organizational hitting approach. I mean, it really is. All right, Judge is obviously different. Bellinger, who is their third best hitter behind Rice and Judge, Bellinger came from a different organization. Ben Rice is just I think Ben Rice was the kind of kid came out of the womb, he was mashing. Everybody else, like they've got the same broken fundamentals. Like Dominguez couldn't figure it out for the right side. Spencer Jones strikes out 35% in the minors, and he'll do the same in the majors. Anthony Volpe can't hit. I mean, all the Oswaldo Cabrera, now suddenly he's pretty, like all these other guys that find success, Peraza, that find success elsewhere are almost better when they leave. It really is amazing. So it is a massive problem at shortstop. I don't expect much of an uptick here because he has not been able to work on his biggest issue. And it is a colossal one that just even slightly above average you don't have to be an elite pitcher, slightly above average major league pitching, you will exploit that because it's so easy to exploit. He's given away half the plate. He's given away half of the zone. And that is like taking candy from a baby. You're on the mound, you're like, all right, man, let me just buzz one upstairs, probably foul it back, and then I'm just going boom, soft, soft. Maybe you show me fastball inside, back him off an inch, doop. Let me drop the slider outside, ring him up. He's either going to take it, he's either going to roll it over to shortstop, or he's going to, just whiff and miss be out in front of it. It really, really is frustrating. And it's really a shame because that is one thing that the Yankees have proven to be very bad at. That's just got to be said. I don't know what they're doing the moment that these young men are drafted and they go to rookie or high A, or as they progress through the system, there's just no whatever their organizational offensive philosophy is, it stinks. It stinks. It really just stinks. So by the time they get to the show, it's almost too late in a lot of circumstances. I'll tell you what I think is going to happen with Volpe in a minute, but I want to read this here. It's the May decay starting but usually it's the June swoon. So it's starting early for the Yankees here. All right, so we're getting the jokes out of the shoe. Richie Squires 986 with a special guest appearance by Anthony Volpe. I mean, listen, yeah, it couldn't start off worse. Routine grounder, bobbles it, strikeout, So, and then listen, here's what I think is going to happen to Volpe. I think that, and I am rooting for him. You guys know that. I don't need to keep saying it. That's probably the last time I'll say it. I'm rooting like hell for this young man. But you just get the sense that Anthony Volpe is going to have to find himself somewhere else. Like he's going to be a throw-in at some point in a trade, Like the only way I don't see that happen, because he's not playing shortstop. Like Lombard's the shortstop, period. Caballero's going to be the shortstop when he's healthy for most of the season, and then it's the George Lombard show, and it's going to be a hell of a show. That's one guy who the Yankees can't mess up. I think he's different. I think he's built different. I think his IQ is different. I think his feel for the game is different. I think his skill set's different. Like Lombard is going to be phenomenal, and Lombard is going to be the shortstop. So, a couple of things going to happen here. He's going to be the shortstop, and Caballero is going to move over to second. Or if Volpe, shows that he can actually get the job done, after this year, you move on from McMahon. Maybe Caballero plays a little bit of third base. Maybe, you punt Volpe over to second. But it is absolutely gross watching this Yankee lineup here. Everybody's worried about Max Fried. To me, it's the offense. Even, I'm not trying to tempt fate here, and I don't think that this is the case. But even if we got the worst news possible for Max Fried today, right? The Yankees will still be fine. They will still be fine. Whether it's Rodriguez, whether it's LeGrand, Clark Schmidt's coming back, Rodon's fine at the back of the rotation. Schlittler's an ace, one of the best pitchers in baseball. Obviously there's a bit of a variable here. You hope that Garrett Cole is still kind of close to being Garrett Cole, and if he is, then everything's good. Now, if he's not, and there's no Max Fried, all right, maybe that would be a different consideration, a different level of fear. But, here we are. And, every night it's the same stuff. There's Grisham. And I just don't want to hear about Grisham. I'm like, that is one guy I'm just not interested in hearing what's under the hood. I don't care about his advanced analytics. And this is coming from somebody who embraces and understands and implements advanced analytics in almost every show that I do. At some point it comes up, some obviously a little bit more than others. I just don't want to hear about it with Trent Grisham. Unless he's batting 7th or 8th, that's different. Leadoff man, not interested. So here we are, the first little wrench, J-Rod, in the New York Yankee season. And again, just to finish the thought on Volpe, poor Volpe comes back. Obviously, Caballero's been balling. He's telling you, I'll be back in 9 days, 8 days, whatever. This guy's a dog. And now you got to throw Volpe right in the middle of the Subway Series with all that energy. It's, good luck.
It's going to be rough.
It's going to be rough. I mean, I don't know how it doesn't look like I don't know how it's going to be anything other than rough. I really don't. But I'm not really worried about Fried. Have you been checking? Oh, I mean, I know you've been checking.
Yeah,
Any updates at all?
I've been checking. Haven't seen anything yet, though.
Yeah.
Just people saying, that's all I can think about today.
Yeah. I will tell you that I didn't know what the hell happened. And I was watching the game. Well, his commands off. And it's not the first really like 3 games in a row, his command's been a little bit off there. So usually, like when it's a real issue, usually there's a discernible drop in velocity. Not the case. There's obviously in inside pain rather than outside pain. Not the case. And he didn't just like leave in the middle of a game. Yeah. Not the case. I mean, he did, but he didn't like walk off the mound holding his arm is what I mean. And he didn't express, I didn't detect really an ounce of fear or trepidation in terms of what he thinks that imaging is going to spit back. So I'm not worried about Fried, but it does go to show you, that like just the vulnerability of a baseball season.
Dude, things could change in a snap.
They do change in a snap. I mean, look at Skubal. Now he'll be back, but look at Skubal. Really the Dodgers have proven to be the only team who have been able to absorb all these injuries. It's like they seem to always get healthy at the right time. It's almost like they planned this out. Like they sit their starters for a while, bring it back at the end of the year, and they're nice and fresh and ready to go on a run. But this has always been the case with baseball. I think it's more amplified in the last 25, 30 years. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering this. And we have a tendency to do this. Like we feel like we saw one thing, but let me take a step back. Something today bothers us a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then when we try to draw the comparison to back in the day, we almost embellish like what back in the day was. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So almost even unknowingly to justify our point about today or our reservations about today. But like when I was growing up, I don't know, man. I feel like Ron Guidry never missed a start. Steve Carlton never missed a start. And the only starts that Dwight Gooden missed was when he was in drug rehab. Like Fernando. I don't know. These guys just never miss starts. It's absolute. It's just weird, dude. So, yeah, I'm in a strange mood with the Yankees here. Now, I will say this. What I said last week, I stand by. I think that this Yankees team is different than the recent ones. I do. Now, it's a little harder to sell today, understood. Nobody wants to hear that today, understood. But it's still got to be about the big picture. I know that. I know the game. I played the game in terms of actual, like the content game. I don't mean the actual game. Play the game for a long time. I've done the dance for a long time, right? I understand. Even back in the day, Mariano, I remember Mo blew a couple of saves against the Red Sox in April, whatever year that was. And everybody was all over him, including me. I'm like, maybe this is the end of Mo. Like, this is what we do. This is what we do, and this is who we are. The micro analysis for baseball is it's very unique to a few cities, most of which are in the Northeast there, and that's just part of the deal. That's what truth of the matter is. That's one of the big reasons why I've been a Boone supporter. Number one, they've won a lot, but I also think when you deal with the day-to-day stuff, especially when you're the Yankees, that's going to pop up, right? And even back in the day, like Torrey would handle that stuff with A-Rod really well. Any little David Wells, like, hey, whatever, we're just playing ball. We're gonna get into it behind closed doors, and I'm the boss. And like, if you have the right guy in charge, and I do think that Boone and Torrey are different in terms of demeanor, but I think Aaron Boone's greatest asset, and I've said this to him, and I've said this about him many times, is that he is very good at. I think he's great at managing any sort of smoke or noise or flare up or anything that could get in the way of a baseball conversation. Like, listen, I get it. You want to criticize some of the bullpen moves. That's justified, whether it's Cortez in the World Series or whether it's, taking Weathers out the other day, which I kind of agreed with. Some of you didn't. Or over the weekend in Milwaukee, more specifically. Yeah, that's always going to be fair game. But one thing about the Yanks is like, it very rarely, like a story happens and then it's big and then it like seeps into the next day. He cuts it off. And truth of the matter is, I also think they have a pretty good clubhouse. So there's not a lot of issues there. So I think it's policed very well by Judge and Stanton, who's hurt. But I think those guys set a really good professional tone and the guys follow suit. But, it's a long race. And there's going to be some moments where you're like, man, it's going to flip. The energy's going to flip immediately. Like, one thing about these Yankees, they are streaky. Like that, I will say. And I didn't think that they were going to be streaky this year. They started playing great. Remember that? and then they lost 5 straight, and then they got red hot, and then they lost 4 in a row, and they just went, 1-5? 1-5, I think it was, on the road trip here. So they're showing this propensity to be a little up and a little down. It's not because of the pitching. It's not because they're kicking the ball all around the field. It's not because their base running is sloppy. It's not because Boone's not doing a good job, because they're not hitting, which goes back to my ultimate point. The Yankees just are not hitting enough. Now, a lot of my confidence in the Yankees this year is derived from the belief that the team that we're watching, over the weekend and against the Mets, and yesterday against the Orioles, and over the weekend against the Brewers when they didn't hit much, I just don't think that that's going to be the same lineup. I just don't, when it really matters. And if it is, then guess what? I will not believe that the Yankees will win the World Series. It really does come. You got to hit a little bit more, man. And I know that Jazz Chisholm, who's on my last nerve, Jazz is going to have a month where he hits 309 with 9 home runs and 12 stolen bases and an OPS of 910. I understand he's going to look great for a little bit. And unless the contract really gets into his head and it just morphs into a disastrous season, which I don't really anticipate, Jazz is going to flash. But then Jazz, at some point, probably at the most inopportune time, the playoffs, is going to morph back to the player and regress back to the player that he too often has been. And that is somebody who is just fundamentally sloppy and askew and not emotionally and physically reliable enough. So though that's a little bit of an updated state of the Yankees, though I do still feel bullish on their chances to do some big stuff this year, because I'm not really worried about Max Fried. Do you think that I'm underselling this here with Fried, Jay?
No, I mean, listen, based on his post-game interview, just his emotionality, I think you're right. There wasn't a ton of nerves in it, but it's all really to be determined, I guess. It's still in that weird period of up in the air. But based on his reaction, it reminds me similarly to the OG thing a couple weeks ago where, this guy has dealt with a very serious injury to this area in the past. But because of that, they know that this current situation is not as serious.
Okay. All right. Let me just reiterate this here. Let me reiterate this here and tell you guys really what the biggest issue with the Yankees has been for a long, long time. And it goes back to what I was saying about Volpe and some of their other younger players, right? We have had so many different conversations and so many different versions of the conversations. The Yankees are cheap. They're not, but that's been said. The Yankees are the little brother. Okay. I mean, that's been said, but we know that that's nowhere near being true. The Yankees don't want to win the way that they used to want to win with George. All right, maybe a little bit of a version of that is somewhat true. Cashman's lost his fastball. That I believe to an extent, certainly with the offense, right? The Yankees develop pitchers. They don't develop hitters. The Yankees don't have enough good defenders. Over the years, Yankees don't run the bases enough. Yankees strike out too much. Yankees are too reliant on the home run. There's been so many different causes for either concern or alarm with the Yankees. But I got to tell you, I think I just nailed it before. If you ask me, what is the big picture, 50,000 feet from the sky, macro snapshot, what's the Yankees' biggest issue? The Yankees just do not draft and develop enough good hitters. They don't do it. There's a reason why all winter I'm saying, get Nico Horner, go get him. These are things that you got to do. These are players that you got to pump out. These are players that you have to have at the top of the lineup who are just gritty. Look at the Brewers second baseman. How phenomenal is he? Whether it's a walk-off over the weekend or being on base or just playing the right way, how different would the Yankees look if you had that guy one, or even Nico Horner, somebody like that? That guy one, and then, Rice 2, and then Judge 3, and then Belly 4, or some version of that. It's just a completely different feel. And right now, I will, even though he drives me nuts, I will put Jazz in a bit of a separate category here. I really will. Because he's got more of a track record than a lot of these guys. But I don't expect some amazing transformation to some buttoned-up baseball player, but he's going to be better than he can't be worse. He's going to be better at some point. There's a better version of Jazz that will come out. But what about the other guys? Honestly, Volpe's going to hit 260 all of a sudden? Really? Austin Wells going to hit 250 all of a sudden? This is going to happen? with a much lower strikeout rate? Why would that happen? So we saw a little flicker of hope from Ryan McMahon. I mean, even with that being said, after a 3-week hot streak, he's hitting 196. That's going to change, Jazz is hitting the ball hard. Hitting the ball. All right, great. I mean, Grisham hit the ball hard, hitting 175. And he had 3 seasons where he hit under 200 before he got here. So I really just think, and I've said this, and this has probably been my biggest point of contention with Brian Cashman, right? Which is why, like this actually, if I put myself back to the day that I said that with Tiki on WFAN, the quote that many of you remember, because they play it on the morning show, I don't know if they still play it, but they did play it for a while, and I've messed around, had a little fun with it. Brian Cashman has not earned the right to rebuild the Yankees the way the Yankees need to be rebuilt. Well, I was talking about their lack of productive hitters that come through the organization. Like, this has been going on for a long time. And Exhibit A is Volpe. I don't know how they didn't chain that young man to a hitting tee and basically put, a 50-pound weight on his front foot and say, dude, hit the ball up the middle, hit the ball hard the other way, let it get a little deep, and stop bailing with that front foot. So, listen, if you want to leave the door of possibility open and say that the Yankees have tried to do that and Anthony Volpe's not receptive to coaching, I don't think that at all. I mean, I don't think that there's anybody on the team that wants to do better than Volpe. I mean, a lot of guys want to win, and they've got a lot of grinders on the team, so it's not a knock on the other dudes, but this guy grew up a Yankee fan. First-round pick, New Jersey, shortstop. I mean, his idol was Jeter. His pops is a massive, massive Yankee fan. This has to be killing him. So I would imagine if the Yankees were instructing him to do something, that he's doing it. I just don't think that they're instructing him to do it. And I don't know. I don't know why. All right. Are you excited about the schedule leaks here or no?
I mean, I'm certainly intrigued to see what's going to happen. I'm not like super locked in on it, but yeah, I mean, I'm looking for it.
Well, hang on a sec. Yeah, hold that thought here. What does this say?
I want you to respond to this.
Virtual discourse. You will eviscerate Jazz, but defend Volpe because you know the family. That is just an asinine. How about this? How about call? I'll respond to it, but how about you call? Get him on the phone, all right? Because I'm going to take some calls today. Call. Get on the phone and elaborate and explain yourself. No, the reason why I get on Jazz Chisholm is because he's in space and because half the time he acts like a clown. That's why, all right? Anthony Volpe, just as I've said many times, was likely overdrafted. Should not have been a first-round pick. Probably needed the refinement of, playing in the SEC. He was going to go to Vanderbilt with his buddy Leiter if he didn't get drafted by the Yankees. And who knows, maybe we'd have a totally different player. Maybe he'd be an outfielder, but maybe he'd be a left fielder. I don't know. And he'd have a totally different approach. First of all, I just met Volpe's family. I never met his mom. I just met Michael Volpe last year. This is year 4 for Anthony Volpe. No, you couldn't be more wrong. It's really not about. I mean, if that's what you take away from it, I mean, that's your opinion, but that's why I'm encouraging you to call. I'd like to hear a little bit more than just that. Like, give me some evidence. Let's get into it. Let's pick up the phone and call. I mean, that's why we have this here. This is an outlet. Obviously, I'm going to start the show and I'm going to tell you what I think, and I've got a ton of content things lined up. But listen, my favorite thing with all this stuff has always been the back and forth. And anybody, I don't care if you work, if you live in Detroit or if you listen to 1050 back in the day, or it was with Tiki or with Sal. I don't care who you listen to when you listen to me. I promise you, I let you talk. I let you go because that's what it's all about. But I don't think you're going to call. I don't think he's going to call, Jay.
I don't either. I don't either.
And that's disappointing.
We've got, I'm not sure if he's ready yet. He might be away. Yeah, I think he's away from the screen, but we've got our buddy ST who's trying to debate you later in the show on your international football.
Oh, I figured that. Yeah, hopefully he's not offended, man. I stand by what I said. But yeah, we'll get my boy ST up in a little bit. I'm a big fan out in London there. Yeah. I mean, listen, 9 international games, and we'll give ST a chance to speak. 9 international games is an absolute freaking joke. I mean, pretty soon the Super Bowl is going to be international, and they just don't care about you. And speaking of some of the schedule stuff here, right? So we'll do the show tonight, as I said, myself, Jake, and Rich Samini, Jets Collective, going to be a lot of fun. So as soon as the Jets schedule drops, we'll dissect it. They're opening with Tennessee. That has already been leaked. We know that. So you got a little Robert Saleh week 1. You've got, it looks like 3 of the first 4 games will be on the road, which I don't really love. Week 2 will be home to the Green Bay Packers, which is cool. I'll be at that game. I was looking at the Giants schedule as well. Giants schedule seems pretty favorable. There is a chance for the Giants to really get off to a very good start. Looking at the Saints in week 6 and some of these other teams that they play. Obviously, Dallas early, which, you never know. It's a good rivalry and stuff. And Dallas should be able to put some points up. But I think that it's going to be a lot of fun with the schedule tonight. I'm not sitting there with bated breath. I mean, if there was one thing I don't get, I'm going to get the news, right? I'm going to find out who's playing where. Now, tonight's different only because I'm doing the Jets show, right? But in years past, I'll find the schedule as soon as it's out. Like, if you think that now again, tonight will be fun because we'll dissect it and we'll talk about, is it fair, or maybe not is it fair, but is it are there early wins? Is it a treacherous road? I mean, what do we think? Year 2, Aaron Glenn, that'll be fun. But in all the other years when they started doing this on ESPN and the NFL Network, when they released the schedule, whatever, man, wake me up when it comes out. If you think I'm sitting there, a lot of times I do the same with the NFL draft there. Like if the Yankees, now it's a little different, like Yankees and Mets in obviously early in the year, but Knicks are playing a game, and which they were. You got a Knicks playoff game, you got the NFL draft there. I mean, I'm locked into the NFL draft. I'm locked into the NBA game, and then I'm just gonna pop in, open up my phone. All right. Now I will try to time it out. All right, Jets are picking, Giants picking. I know when they're picking, so you can navigate that. But anytime, and this came up with Jerry, and it's funny. I don't know if you caught this. So DiPietro and Rothenberg, you see this morning there, J-Rod?
Yes, sir. Someone commented about that too. They said, did you see
they really?
BT? Because one of them said, I think Dave said he wanted to come on Unleashed.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, I think so.
I'll definitely bring him on Unleashed. No question about it. I'd love to bring him on. I don't know him. But I've said I've been a fan of his work. He's a passionate fan. I think he's a great Giants fan. And him and Jerry seem to have this little squabble back and forth. And I think it started, maybe I'm wrong, but I know there's a lot of Knicks stuff there between those two guys, right?
Yeah.
But I think it started with either Dave wasn't sure if he was going to watch the Knicks or the draft. And I don't want to misrepresent the point. And Jerry was like, no, you watch the game and then you just kind of figure out who's drafted. I think that was the origin of it.
Sure.
I think I'll definitely get Dave on the show there. No question about it. If he said that, I don't have his number, so I'd have to get it from LaGreca or Kay or somebody. I mean, maybe I'll be the peacemaker. Instead of getting dragged into these beefs, like I was 2 months ago. I will maybe I'll just I'll be the good guy, and I'll make sure everybody's happy and friendly, everybody's getting along. I would genuinely listen to those guys in the morning. I would flip around. I'd want to get Jerry's update, which is always money. Jerry, of course, Recco's update's great. And then I would listen to those guys quite a bit. I think they do a really, really good job. So,
yeah, I mean, I'll watch through the whole video, but someone commented saying he wanted he mentioned wanting to come on. So, hey.
All right. I mean, we can make that happen. Yeah. I don't even know if I've ever been in the same room as him. I think the only time, and I mentioned this the other day, I met Rick, and it was kind of in passing. Good dude, though, where we were at a charity golf outing for our old boss, Tim McCarthy, one of the great guys in our business. Timmy ran ESPN Radio for basically 20 years, and he's the one who hired me. So I've got he's a good friend. He's a great mind from a sales point of view, programming. One of the best people in our business, Timmy McCarthy. Love him. Shout out to Timmy. Great dude, man. Wild man too. We had some fun nights, and his brother passed away years ago, and he would do a charity golf outing, and we would all go, and Jim Leyritz would be there, and a bunch of Yankees, and everybody at the station. And that's when Alan and DiPietro were working together. I've known Alan forever. Matter of fact, when I was at 1050, and Alan was covering the Knicks for Newsday, I was getting, and I joke around like, Al, where's my 10%? I could use it now. I'm the one who put you on the radio for the first time talking about fun. Now he's on MSG. Now he's doing games. Now he's doing radio. And I just knew he was good. and I loved his Nick content, and we had a great rapport. And I'm pretty tight with Alan. I know him really well, but I did meet DiPietro that day, and he was cool. But yeah, we'll get Roth on the show. I would love to do that. But anyway, just to finish the thought here about the schedule release. I mean, it's not appointment TV. I think really the Jets collective will be, if you're a Jets fan, appointment watch, because we're going to break it down. Here's what we know so far. All right. So let me see. We got about 12 or 13 things. And then there's a lot of other stuff that's kind of confirmed, but not fully confirmed. I'm not going to waste time on that. Here's what we absolutely know. All right. Week 1. So we know 3 week 1 games. We got the Niners at the Rams. That's in Australia. We got the Cowboys at the Giants, Sunday Night Football. That's going to be awesome. Broncos at the Chiefs, Monday Night Football. Great. Rivalry, awesome. Week 2, Lions at the Bills, and that's when the Bills will open their new stadium. I can't wait to see it. That's going to be really, really good. That's Thursday Night Football. Then the Week 3 matchup would be Ravens Cowboys in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, right? And then you've got the Colts and the Commanders in London. That's Week 5. You get the Eagles, Jags in London. Now we get the London games. You get Texans, Jags. And then Week 7, you got Steelers, Saints in Paris. I mean, whatever. I really don't think I'll watch a second of that game. I don't care what's going on. Bengals, Falcons in Spain. Okay. I mean, maybe if Joe Burrow was on my fantasy team, sure. What else we got? Pats, Lions, Week 10 in Munich, Germany. That could be a game that you have to watch for a lot of reasons. If Vrabel's still there, which I'm not so sure he will be. And I touched on that about a week or so ago. If you guys missed the segment, go check it out on the channel. Vikings and Niners, Mexico City. I mean, Vikings should stink, depending upon what I'm doing. We'll see if I watch that. But I'll tell you what, and I know I've been all over the NFL, too many international games. They don't care about you. It's all about the almighty dollar, which we obviously know. But what are the limits of the greed and the gluttony here? Like, at some point, the people who built the sport, us, our parents, their parents, I mean, the NFL used to be a distant, let's see, I would say between baseball, between boxing, between horse racing. I mean, the NFL, when the NFL was in its infancy, it was just, I mean, it's kind of niche. I mean, really what it was. So, now I feel like I've got to defend the fans, because there's only so many voices that could do it. And, a lot of the people that are making good money, and good for them, they will never take shots at the NFL, because they're basically in bed with the NFL. You know, people on the NFL network shitting on international games, they'll be off the channel in a heartbeat. I mean, that doesn't work that way. That's one of the beauties of being an independent contractor. I say whatever I want, J-Rod, I wouldn't mind that paycheck though there. But no, the point is, you just don't have enough voices. I'm not saying there's none, but you don't have enough voices who are keeping it real with this international slate. It's crazy. But I will give them credit here. The Thanksgiving wraparound is awesome. So Thanksgiving Eve, Packers at the Rams, Netflix. Awesome. I mean, you would think big NFC, high seed implications, quarterbacks who can play, coaches, LaFleur's, not quite McVay, but, higher profile coaches, good fan bases, money, right? Then Thanksgiving, and depending upon the year, this would have been a shit game, but Bears at the Lions, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be an important one. Then you got the Eagles and the Cowboys. That's obviously in Dallas. Then you have the Chiefs and the Bills. That's in Buffalo. That's going to be really good. And then Black Friday, the Broncos and the Steelers. I mean, really, of the 5 games, that one has the potential to be the biggest snoozer, potentially. I'm not saying that it's going to be a completely, useless game, but, I don't really know what to expect from the Steelers this year. And I'm not even incredibly high, massively high on the Denver Broncos, but they did get that right. Like they say, and I do like the Thanksgiving Eve game. I have railed on the NFL, like Christmas Day games. I think that there's got to be limits, right? This is just my opinion. Some of you disagree with this, and I get it. Many of you do agree, though, because you get it, because you have families. I'm just not a fan of interrupting the family structure to the extent in which they do. I mean, if you already think about, I'm not trying to get overly philosophical or, shove stuff down your throat here, but if you already think about the way life has been sped up for so many people, those precious days, Christmas morning, the Thanksgiving, but that's different. We've always been used to that with football, Saturday football late in December, dance recitals, basketball games, youth football games. It's a tough dance. But when we, and I know this is so long ago, and I know that the world has changed, and I'm not trying to make it about me, but it's my only point of reference. Like, we never had that juggle at all. Now, my sister played sports a little bit, much more of an intellect. Like, her sport was reading, and every textbook and homework, she loved it, right? But we never once had, because they didn't have baseball facilities. I wish they did. They didn't have baseball facilities for winter training. So, my winter schedule would be, all right, we got a CYO game at St. Pat's at 1 o'clock on Saturday or at noon on Sunday. And that was it. That was literally it. And then during, baseball season, I did play a fair amount of travel baseball, not to the extent that my son plays now. It wasn't like that back then schedule-wise. But, now, we are literally running around and racing around, coming home. Like, last night we walked in the door at 9:25. Which means they had to eat before, which means that's a little rushed, which means not that you're rushing homework, but, you got to get it done. And then if you don't get it all done, you got to finish. And then, again, if you have young kids, even though they're not babies, but I mean, you would think that you're asking them to try to lift up a car and climb a mountain when you tell them to go take a shower, but it's my daughter doesn't do this. She's phenomenal with it. But my son comes in, he takes off one sock right after a game, takes off one sock, it's on the couch, takes off the other sock, it's on the floor, eats, he's got a 3D printer, he's got a little business, like a little fidget gadget business. Which is awesome. He goes and he checks on that.
No, he's into that stuff.
Yeah.
That's sick, dude. I wish my generation had that, bro.
Dude, he makes some great stuff. And he's made some money doing it, for sure.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
No, you keep going.
No, good.
It was just a small aside on the youth and 3D printers. No, I mean, my roommate's girlfriend's brother's super into it. And we've got a little, I'll grab it and I'll show it next time I'm on cam. A little rock octopus, a rocktopus. So it's a 3D printed octopus with Dwayne The Rock Johnson's face.
Are you serious?
Yeah, wait, I'll show it to you in a sec.
It's awesome, man. You could do some wild stuff there. He makes he made a ball marker for my father-in-law, who's a great golfer, who was here this past weekend.
That's so
He's
fun.
made, again, I guess those fidgets were made for kids maybe with focus. I'm not really sure why fidgets were born. I mean, geez, but he doesn't need them, and my daughter doesn't. But they make them. He makes fidgets like Oreo cookies. So it's black, then the white, and then the black, and you click them. He really does, and he's got the invoices. I told you the other day, there were 300 boxes dropped on my doorstep. 300 boxes.
God dang.
What the fuck is this? 300 boxes. I'm like, what are we doing here? I said, get rid of these. You got enough. So he wrote a note and he put it on the door, and he told, it was either UPS or USP, whoever it was, I don't know. Please don't deliver anymore. Because I guess if you don't tell them to stop delivering boxes, they keep delivering them. What the hell's going on here, man? Anyway, the point is, I appreciate the business.
I respect the entrepreneurial spirit right there.
So do I. And he's got the little Venmo deal, and he's got, a couple of his buddies. Like, one is he's obviously the owner, but there's different roles like marketing and some other. It's good. Fun. It's great for the mind. It's great for the mind and for critical thought and working together and all that stuff.
Cool.
And responsibility, because you got to get them done. If you take the money, you got to you got to build the product.
Yeah.
Which is something I made sure of. I'm like, dude, you better make sure that these are going out. Like, you can't have just people pay you $8, $9, $10 to do this, and then you don't send it. That was my only concern early on. Anyway, that was a long way of getting to this. There's just so much stuff going on, and I really do think that the NFL has been very cavalier in how they. How they just basically force feed us all this stuff, but it has been happening more and more. And like anything in life, once you start to get a little used to it, even if you resist it, vehemently, kicking and screaming early on, you will eventually conform, and then you will eventually stop complaining, and then you will eventually consume. And then when you consume, you will eventually spend, right? Like, think about this. Like, I remember, I don't know why I had such an issue with it. Probably because I was just lazy. But, when Easy Pass first came out, I'm not getting Easy Pass, man. I'm used to, it's like a long time ago when I obviously first started driving. But I'm like, nah, I'll just, I'll just throw the money in the thing or whatever, or hand them dollars. If it's coins, you flip them in, or dollars, if you don't have the exact change, you do it, make the transaction. I waited for that forever. I just waited forever. And then finally I acquiesced, and I couldn't imagine my life without Easy Pass right now. Now I wish it wasn't as expensive. We're getting bent over with that. But when I'm traveling to whether it's Staten Island or Jersey, all these games, and I see people getting ready to pay, I'm like, conventionally with the money, I'm like, suckers, and I'm just driving through. You get used to it. I mean, when the first streaming line or whatever came out, it was like confusing. I'm like, oh man, I just want to kind of stick with regular TV and HBO and TiVo. And then all of a sudden I got Netflix, I got Hulu, I've got Prime, you got everything. And yeah, we complained a little bit about it, right? We complained a little bit about it, but then it becomes normalized. Same thing with the phones. Oh man, my bill is how much a month? 100, whatever, like a two, I don't know, an iPhone is $1,000. Wow. Jeez, $1,000 for a phone. What are we doing here? Oh, need a new phone. Here's $1,000. I know you can do trade-ins and all that stuff, which I do, but when you first buy it, like we are always resistant to stuff early on. Same thing with the prices for parking. $100 to go watch the Jets and the Browns in the rain, which is what I paid. $100. Guess what? I didn't make a U-turn and go home. I paid the $100. Thank you very much. May I have another? And I sat in the rain and I watched two dog teams play. Jets played well. They had some special team touchdowns that day. But anyway, it's my aversion to, and it's my resistance to just letting these leagues do whatever they want to do. And I realize that one voice is not going to change everything, but at least I'm going to try. Speaking of football, right? I'm trying. I really don't know what to think about Malik Nabers. I got to be very honest with you about this. I don't know. You saw the news yesterday. He had a second procedure, Malik Nabers. All right. So torn ACL obviously happened very early in this Jackson Dart's first start. And then we knew he had to wait a month because of the swelling. And a lot of people, and this is unfair, a lot of people are like, why is he waiting so long? Because you can't operate with swelling. It's actually very common. Now, it does delay the return, but you can't get in there surgically and probe around when there's swelling. That's just basic stuff. So he has the torn ACL. Then he's got a full meniscus repair, which obviously, you're gonna heal, but it complicates the recovery. It tacks on a little bit more time there. And then we found out that the surgery was delayed for a month with the swelling, and then he had a second surgery 7-8 months later. All right, so after the initial 1 month wait for the torn ACL and the meniscus repair, there was a second, and there was scar tissue, and scar tissue is painful, man. And it's funny. I was just talking about Max Fried's, and I don't think he's going to be Tommy John. I feel pretty good about that based on what he said and the optics of it. But I remember when I had my Tommy John surgery about 2 years later, because I was obviously done playing ball. Maybe if I was still playing, it would have been a year later. But like 2 years later, I went in and I had a second procedure, arthroscopic, in and out, no big deal, on the same elbow because I had the scar tissue. And the scar tissue, like when they're if you ever had a surgery and they're breaking up the scar tissue, it's actually more painful than, you're out during the surgery, but you know what I mean? Like breaking up a scar tissue is no joke. I mean, you are writhing in pain. Like you gotta strap in and you gotta suck it up. And you just have to let the orthopedic surgeon or, usually that's who you go to, the orthopedic doctor, do what they have to do. And then that's what the second procedure was, to break up the scar tissue, because the scar tissue basically just, think of just like an inflammation that then limits the ability to like move back and forth. So full movement and all that stuff. Now, they say that the timeline is unaffected and they are hopeful for week one. Again, I'm not trying to be irresponsible with this. I'm not worried about Malik Nabers of like eventually regaining all of his burst and all of his cut and all of his explosion. He's a wonderful athlete, man. He's just 1% of the athletes in the world. But that was a little disconcerting there. I don't know how anybody could just say, all right, no big deal. There could be in between. Like, it doesn't have to be, oh, my God, Malik Nabers had a second surgical procedure. Wow, we're screwed. What are we going to do? He's not going to be ready. He won't be back till October. No, I don't think that that's going to be the case at all. And then the opposite of that would be, yeah, he's fine. No big deal. I mean, listen, when you are young and they go in there and they probe around with medical instruments, there is some downstream residual impact to the body that might not pop up right away, but is going to eventually resurface. My right elbow kills me, absolutely kills me. I mean, to this day. I just plow through it like an idiot. Now, I'm an idiot and I'm not a real athlete. He is not an idiot and he is a real athlete. So he's going to be fine. But, I mean, it's a very delicate thing. And the advancement for knee procedures, even like knee replacements and hip replacements for older people, Tommy John surgeries become much more advanced as I know. Back surgery has been really the last one to really medically take that big, because it's so complex. It's so hard to navigate the back with the nerves and the spine. It's just a different type of surgery and potential bad results. But even that's gotten much better. Like you look at Europe and they've come up with these, these gel cushions when you're in between the vertebrae. You can kind of stack them and you can kind of regain some flexibility and take away the pain, all that stuff. So even that has advanced tremendously. But, I would say pertaining to Malik Nabers here on a scale of 1 to 10, I mean, honestly, last week I was at a 1. I'm like, he's fine, dude. He's fine. I'm not saying I'm going to sound the alarm over the top. I'd probably bring that up to a 3 and see. And I'd say it's about a 3.5, and really just look at it and say, all right, I'm going to look at this just a little differently. Because when you hear in the middle of May that the timeline is relatively unaffected, all right, that's fairly comforting now. But before you know it, it's going to be training camp. And you don't need him ready on the first day, coming out of burst and cutting on a dime. He won't be doing that. But you would like him ready for the start of the season. And if he's not, it's not the biggest deal in the world because the Giants aren't going to win the Super Bowl this year. And, Dart's a kid, and obviously he's a kid, Nabers, and you want to protect their bodies. But interesting, if it's an offensive lineman, if it's a tight end, even if it's a safety, it's like a linebacker who's more of a tackler than a guy whose game is built on burst. Less of a concern. Torn ACL, full meniscus repair. Again, the swelling, not a big deal, so you wait the 1 month. And then second surgery, 7-8 months later. So as I talk about the Freed possibility there, Jay, and I talk about the Nabers situation, what do you feel about the Nabers situation?
Listen, I'm not as concerned, but yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about the Nabers compared to the Freed injury, but either of them, I don't think are like too much of a cause for concern for either team.
All right, doctor. That is, you know what? I'm going to call you out. To me, what were you doing? What were you looking up? I felt like you were half listening there. What were you?
No, listen, I caught the Freed. I didn't catch the Nabers.
I got you. That's why I got to be careful when I ask you stuff because I know you're doing a lot of stuff back there. It's all good, buddy. What happened to Joe B coming on this week? I probably missed it when they announced he wouldn't be on
last week.
When they announced he wouldn't be on. What do you mean, Charlie? He was on last week. He was awesome. Joe was great. He was absolutely, the numbers were off the chart. The viewership was incredible. Joe was awesome. Oh, he went nuts on Stearns.
Check it out, Charlie.
Yeah, check it out, Charlie. He did keep the politics to a minimum to make sure we didn't get too much. You listen to Joe. You know that Joe is on a Saturday show. Joe's always going to weave in some politics. That's his right. But we made sure and he was going to gloss over one or two things, but not over the top. I'm not saying there was none of it, but really it was a lot of sports stuff. And really, the thing that was great about Joe, and this is what's so great about a lot of these conversations here, is that it's not like, oh, Joe, what do you think about David Stern? What about the Mets' chances to be a wild card team, Joe? Like when I get these people on the show, it's a real conversation. That's one of the reasons why, to me, Rothenberg would be appealing because I don't know anything about his background. I know his son was a pretty good high school baseball player who hit some home runs. I remember him talking about that, hearing that on the radio a little bit. I'm not sure if he's done yet. I'm not sure if he's playing collegiately. But obviously, Dave is a really proud dad. I'm very humble about it. But I would hear that come up a little bit when Rick would bring it up or they would talk about it. But I loved the freedom and the ability just to bounce from topic to topic. And Joe got really deep about his childhood. Like I didn't know a lot, and I know Joe well. Like Joe's a friend, and I know Terry. I love Joe. I've known him for a long time. And some of those things I just did not know. And then he's getting into acid trips. You just got the whole Joe B experience. It was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, dude. I loved how free flowing it was. And man, dude, the picture of him like in front of the old school TV with the broom.
With the broom?
Oh my God, I love it, dude.
Yeah.
Like he's still using the TV from like 2012, 2013.
Well, you know, it's funny. And a lot of people, I guess, were clowning him on that. And I
love it.
I know, me too. But I know Samantha, his daughter, felt compelled to kind of jump in and defend Joe. Like Joe was getting hit for that. Like, I mean, what kind of person? I don't know. Like, what would compel somebody? It's one thing if you joke around like Joe. I mean, how about getting a flat screen? Like, but it seemed like it was pretty mean spirited, where she felt like she had to jump in and defend her pops a little bit, which I respect. But Joe with the broom and Joe, with the shirt tucked in. That's another thing too. One thing about, I'm not saying Joe's old, but older people, right? Why do they tuck the shirt in like that?
I've never understood it.
Everybody does that. My dad does it. My father-in-law does. I don't. Even when I'm doing TV, true. Even when I'm doing TV, I have always been the guy. I don't tuck in until 2 or 3 minutes before I go on the air. Like, when I was doing SNY for 7 years, right? We get makeup. Now I think they got rid of the makeup artist for COVID. And then, the business has changed, financial reasons, whatever. But we had a full makeup artist back then. And I would just go in and I would have my dress pants and I would have my shirt, I wouldn't even have my tie on yet. I would have like 2 buttons open, my shirt untucked. I would get makeup and then I'd go in the green room, I'd shoot the shit. And then all right, I think my show was on at 5:30. I think 5:30 or 6. I think it was 5:30 to 6. 5:22. All right, come on, Pharrell. Come on, Moose. Come on, whoever's on the show with me. All right, let's go. And then I would tuck in. Like, you can't pay me to tuck in. I hate it. I feel uncomfortable. But the older generation, they are tuckers.
Maybe it's like the pant along like the protruding gut. Like maybe that's more comfortable.
Joe
like having
know.
like your
I know
Joe's not built like that really.
No, Joe's
not. But like I don't know. Like maybe that's more comfortable to have like the pant around like your stomach line rather than your waistline.
Like you pull the pant up. Yeah, well, you can still do that and just have the shirt hanging out.
Yeah, you're totally right.
I don't know if it's as comfortable. And Joe has no protrusion. Joe was a runner for a long time. Joe's in, I'm not saying he's out there lifting weights every day, but Joe's out there playing golf. He's in pretty decent shape, But there is something about the old. You know what it is? It's probably more like of a military, just a more conforming to societal dress codes. I mean, even think about the industry. Like what I don't know. Are kids still suiting up for interviews? Are they? I would hope so.
Dude, interviews now are different, man. Because I will tell you right now, I've never done an in-person interview other than for like, Guitar Center, working like a retail job for my podcasting stuff and any of this. I've never done an in-person interview. So yeah, you're still kind of dressing up nice, but dude, you could have freaking your Hanes underwear on underneath and it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, I know it's changed a lot. Even like, do you go to a wedding? There's some people like dress sneakers now. I've got into that probably well over 10 years ago.
That's always been big. Like the Jordan, I'm not always. That's certainly not always.
No, not always. No.
In my lifetime, I feel like the Jordan 1s at the wedding have been like a huge thing.
Yes.
Even for, like any dude, really, like the Jordan 1s, the 11s, sometimes people will wear at the wedding.
Oh, yeah.
I've honestly been to some, I don't know if I've been to a wedding, but I've been to some formal events where like some of the main people a part of it were just wearing Jordans and stuff like that.
Well,
and you're like,
that's what what I'm doing with the St. John's games with Mink. Now, Mink's old school, right?
Yeah.
Mink is tucked in. Mink is suited up. Mink's got the little pin on his lapels, St. John's, always the company guy. So am I. I mean, hell, I'm wearing St. John's today. I love St. John's, but I mean, he is the ultimate company guy. He's got the tie, fully shaved, the dress shoes, the dress socks, the belt, the suit, and all this stuff. When I do games, I wear jeans, nice jeans, brand new Jordans. I got a 2 pair, black and always get 2 pairs for the season, black and red, Johnny's colors, low cuts, right?
Yep, the BT classics, bro.
You know those. The ankle socks. I wear ankle socks,
yes, sir.
Right? But then I'll have on, a really nice shirt and, the blazer. The blazer is I've got a nice collection of really good blazers. And then if I want to pop it with like, whether it's one of those little like lapel, like those flowery like lapel things, which are pretty popular, which kind of accent with the tie or bring out certain colors in the blazer. Or if I want to go pocket square, probably got about 50 of those things. But even up until the game, like I'm doing the pregame, my shirt's not even tucked in. I just can't tuck in. Like that's something I'm surprised that would be either a good Seinfeld bit or a good Curb bit, right?
Tucking in.
Right?
Dude, there honestly there could be. I just have to check it out, but not that I've seen. That is a good thought. Something I've realized though, I think now the sign of like not professionalism, but kind of the sign of like wealth or the flex is wearing sweatpants instead of a suit. Like I think dudes who wear like the athleisure Lululemon sweatpants with like the quarter zip top. Not that I don't think that's fresh in any sort of context, but I think those are the dudes who that's how people kind of flex and express themselves is I'm the kind of guy who I don't have to show up dressing formally. I can show up anywhere dressing in sweatpants and anything, and it won't matter because I am who I am.
Well, I'll give you a good example. I don't know if he's always wearing sweats, and I know it's different now, but like when Cuban bought the Mavericks, he was there in like jeans and a Mavericks jersey or a T-shirt. Yeah. That's I guess that's kind of true. Hey, have you gotten into the show on? Is it Netflix? Hold on, I think it is. Running Point. Have you gotten into that show yet?
I don't believe so. No.
About like this fictitious team that's supposed to be the Lakers with Kate Hudson.
Oh, I'll check that out.
Yeah, watch it. Dude. It's good, and it's good because they released it more in the old school way, where it's not like season after season. Like they had one season. I think there was 8 episodes, and I really like. It's funny. It's a light view. It's not like it's deep thought, but it's well written and it's comedically it's on point. It's good, and I'm a big Hudson fan. And then I had to wait a year for season 2.
Oh man!
And I was actually pumped. I'm like, all right, when's it coming out? It came out, I think, late April.
No way, Chet Hanks is in this.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I need to watch
cast,
this.
Dude.
Oh my god, I love that dude.
It's absolutely fun,
dude.
Yeah.
I watched the roast, and this is my main takeaway. Like the roast.
What, Kevin Hart?
Kevin Hart.
Yep.
Dude, Tom Brady is the stiffest man. And I'm a Pats fan. Okay. He's the stiffest guy on planet Earth, dude. Like, it's like they walk out a robot with like human skin on it and have it tell some jokes and stuff like that. Like, there's just something about him that just like hits me as like, it's so off. It's so Kardashian, like his vibe. I mean, not
really,
dude, I don't know. Just something about Tom Brady just hits me as like he's an incredibly like stiff and like very calculated guy. Like everything he says, like you could tell he's thought about it. Like there's just nothing off the cuff with him. It's not natural.
Okay. I mean, I don't get that. I almost feel like the Tom Brady that we used to get was that way.
Okay.
Where I think this is more who he is. I mean, he is a guy who is, his level of competitiveness is legendary, but dropping the F-bombs and doing these roasts here and just letting himself out there. I think that's more him. I've seen him on a bunch of podcasts where he's just chilling. I don't think he's now. You want to tell me he's had some work done? Maybe that's a little different.
No,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just that. It's just like something about him. It was just like,
oh really?
Like that's just like kind of stiffish, like kind of robotic.
Little C-3PO for you. Speaking of Tom Brady, let me get into this for a second. I had this written down. I want to get into it now here. I don't know if you guys caught this, but the thought about Bill Belichick's been pushing this for a while now about renaming the Lombardi Trophy the Tom Brady Trophy. And it's when you first hear it. Well, I don't know how you feel when you first hear it. When I first hear it, I'm like, no. Like, because to me, that's just another example of trying to always change things.
No.
I don't know why we have to change anything. Like, well, I mean, there's certain things in the world that we have to change, understood, right? And we have. But I think there's been too much unnecessary change with certain things. And, Lombardi, if you ask any football fan, hey, who's the greatest coach of all time? Now, depending upon how old they are, well, let me ask you, who do you think the greatest coach of all time is in the NFL? Who is it? I mean, you got to say Belichick.
I'm going Belichick.
All right, you have to
from
say.
my experience. Yeah.
No, you should.
And from what I've seen, from what I've seen, I'm going Belichick.
Agreed. Okay. Now, I never saw Lombardi, obviously, at all. And to me, it's Lombardi and Belichick. And it's Belichick and Lombardi. You know, whatever order you want to put those guys in, I don't have an issue with it. And then I think after that, you know, I've always put Parcells up there. Like I've always said, if I've got one team and, you know, I've got one coach to win and like shape a team, Parcells will be my guy. He is my all-time favorite. He might actually be my all-time favorite coach in any sport. You know, really. I mean, I love Joe Torre, but, you know, Joe did not win early at all with the Mets and, you know, with the Cardinals, and didn't won a little bit with the Braves, but like he won with the Yankees because he had amazing talent and he was able to, you know, navigate Steinbrenner and all the New York pressure, and you give him a world of credit. And I love Joe. Like Joe and I mean, we're from the same area. Like literally where I grew up and where Joe grew up is probably 7-8 blocks away, literally across the park. It's across Marine Park. He was just on the other side, you know, and we played for the same youth team growing up. He played for the Cadets and I played for the Cadets. Anyway, I love Joe. Like Joe's the best, right? But I don't think like Joe's an all-time great manager myself. He's an all-time great Yankee based on the results. But if I think about like tacticians, you know, I'm going to throw somebody like Miller Huggins. I mean, just based on the research, obviously never saw him. Tony La Russa. I think Sparky Anderson is up there. I think that, let's see here. I mean, those are a couple of the names that I've always kind of said. And I just don't think Joe Torre is necessarily in Earl Weaver. Billy Martin, I think, was a better, much better tactician than Joe Torre. Again, no disrespect to Joe Torre. But when I think about football, I don't know how Lombardi could have been better than Parcells. Now, you can tell me, all right, championships, this, that. And obviously, in terms of championships, Belichick's got everybody beat. But I also look at Belichick's accomplishments, and I don't just go to the end result of the championships. I look at the whole picture where he didn't do much with the Browns. Now, he was getting it better before he got fired. And he was the DC for those great Giant teams when they won the championships with Bill. But see, to me, and maybe this is the wrong way to look at it, I almost give more points to somebody who is a proven rebooter. And Parcells,
you always say it.
I do.
You always say it with Patino, man. You always say it.
Yeah,
it's the adaptability, bro.
There you go. I wasn't even going to use the word adaptability, but I always do lean on that. But true, you know. And like the messaging, the adaptability, the instincts. Like I think the toughest thing to do is to walk into a room, a football locker room, 53 dudes, and you know, for a team that's been moribund, not disciplined, a lot of penalties, offensive line that gives up a lot of sacks, a lot of turnovers, like the Jets. I mean, basically, you know, maybe outside of giving up the sacks because the O-line is good, but take a team like that and to walk into that room and to immediately, and it's all documentable, where you just, whatever you espouse, whatever you teach, whatever you demand, whatever you preach, like it works immediately.
Yeah.
It worked. Now, his first year with the Giants, I think he only won 3 games, almost got fired. But then, bang, got fixed right away. And then, obviously, you know, he's with the Patriots, and they're in the Super Bowl. And he won this, I will use the word adaptability, because with the Giants, he wanted to run the ball, and he wanted to play great defense with his linebackers, right? And that's how they won, Lawrence Taylor, et cetera. And then he goes to the Pats, and he's got Drew Bledsoe, and he's letting Drew Bledsoe, who could spin it, who could really throw it, he'd let him throw 45, 50 times a game. Like that happened pretty frequently, and he was adaptable there. And then when he came to and the Patriots were down when he went there, and then he got him to the Super Bowl, then he bounces, and then he comes to the Jets. And before he gets to the Jets, they're 3-13. They're 1-15. It's the Kotite circus. And the first year that he's with the Jets, they go 9-7. And the first game that he ever coached for the New York Jets, they won 40-6 at Seattle. Coming off a 1-15 season. I remember, because I had season tickets at that point, I remember sitting in my first apartment with my buddy Rob and watching the game. And then like 5 guys, we had it was a fun day. Like 5 Spitz came over, Kev. We had a pretty good day. And we didn't know what to expect, man. Like the Jets were horrendous the year before. 1-15. 1-15. And they're up in Seattle or over in Seattle, and they win 40 or 43-6. I'm like, what? Like that transfer, and then they went 9-7. And then they went 12-4 the next year, and they won the AFC East for the first time ever. And then, who knows what would have happened in 99 if Vinny doesn't get hurt week 1 against the Pats. The point is, like, the ability to so quickly implement whatever you believe and whatever you're non-negotiable with, right, and toward, and weed out the guys immediately that you can identify them a mile away. Nope, not my kind of guy. Nope, not all in. Nope, little selfish, little soft, a little dumb in terms of the football IQ, a little too reckless off the field, and unless you're Lawrence Taylor or a couple of others, we're not going to look the other way because your talent doesn't, you don't have, like, you're just not going to get that. You don't deserve it because you're not Lawrence Taylor, I just think he's the absolute master at that. I didn't see Belichick do that. He didn't do that with Cleveland, and he didn't really even do that with the Pats. I mean, if you look at, I'm going to pop something up here real quick. I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. If you look at the Patriots, just let's take one sec, guys. Pats year by year record. All right. And then here you go. And football. They want the verification. Come on, man. All right. Maybe this will be it by the season. All right. What was his first year there? Let's see. Oh, well, he left the Jets in, so Al Groh was in 2000. All right. So if you go to 2000, so yeah, I think his first year was 5-11, right? And then 11 wins, 9, 14, dynasty well off and running, right? But if you go to like a couple of years before that, they were 8-8 the year before he got there, competitive. The year before that, they were 9-7. The year before that, they were 10-6. And the year before that, I was with Parcells, they were 11-5. So what he inherited with the Pats was nowhere comparable to what Bill inherited with the Jets. And like, this is all about, if you just tune it in, I started the conversation about what Belichick's saying about he thinks it should be the Tom Brady trophy. And I get it, and there is merit to that. But if nobody had the conversation, about turning it into the Joe Montana trophy back then when Joe went to 4 Super Bowls and never lost, I don't think we need to do it now with Tom Brady. If you want to make another award after him, that's fine. But it's got to stay the Lombardi trophy. That's my opinion on that. And I'm open to the conversation. I'm not so married to everything from back in the day where I'm like, nope, resistant, can't listen to it, not interested. I'm interested. I just don't think that one, I don't want to say it doesn't make sense because I think it does certainly on some level. I would not do it. And there's no way the NFL is going to do it. Bill Walsh was thought of as the best coach of his time by his peers. Yeah. Most dominant team in the 80s and the 90s era for sure. Well, I mean, Dallas was pretty good as well with all those championships. But yes, Charlie checks in there. What Bill Walsh was thought to be, and I would agree with this, was the most innovative. Like when you think about the West Coast offense, and there's so many variations of it now, like that's an innovative mind that was able to really change the NFL. Like if you think about, and that's hard to do, like how many coaches in any sport, there's a lot of great coaches, right? Like you could tell me, I'm going to take Steve Kerr, right? All right, Steve Kerr. Won a ton, all time, a dynasty for a couple of years, Warriors, right? But did Steve Kerr change the NBA? No, Steph Curry changed the NBA in terms of shooting prowess, right? Greg Popovich, great coach. Duncan, all time, one of the top 3 or 4 NBA coaches of all time, right? Did he change the NBA? No, he didn't change the NBA. But I think if you look at Bill Walsh, he changed the NFL. I even think that, the Buffalo Bills, what they were running, even though they didn't have any championships there, I think that, in terms of innovation and how they would spread things out, the run and shoot offense, I think they changed the offense, the Oilers a little bit. I can't really speak to the hockey aspect of it. Baseball, that's really hard to change. Maybe you want to look at who really leaned on analytics first, which is pretty much thought to be somebody like Tony La Russa. But I think even that's a stretch to say. And by the way, so did Buck Showalter. Very reliant on the binder and eventually, as an extension of that, the numbers. But I think, as I think about this out loud, who changed sport the most at the professional level? I would even say that Walsh changed it more than Parcells, who to me is the greatest coach I ever saw. Changed it more than Lombardi. I know that they had that one running play that nobody could stop. I get it, but no free agency. The league was a little bit different. Not trying to discredit Lombardi, but I think that matters. Belichick didn't change the NFL. Yeah, I think that he's the greatest offensive innovator, pioneer, mind that the game's ever seen. And, he's never been recognized on that level. So I don't really think Tom Brady should be recognized on that level, but it's interesting. It's interesting. All right, Jay, what else do we have here today? Anything else, buddy? What do we got?
Got our friend ST.
ST's in the house. ST. Now, I've heard that ST's got some issues with me checking in from London about my takes on the gluttony of the NFL with all these international games. What's up, man? We okay?
What's going? Yeah, I'm all good, brother. How are you?
I'm good. No, I'm making sure you and I are okay. We okay? We're good, right, buddy?
Of course, man. Like I said, I didn't want to debate you. I just wanted to try to convince you and other people to kind of look at it from a different lens. And
Go ahead.
I know that you gotta move calls, but I'll try my best. Because I listened to the clip about 5 times just to make sure I heard everything clear. And
Okay.
you made a lot of valid points. Just let me put that there. I think the genesis of this conversation between us, BT, I think I would say this is very simple. You mentioned earlier in the show that the NFL is quite niche. My friend, it is niche no more. Apart from, ultra processed fast food, which we all know and love, the NFL is the United States' greatest export. And there's a reason why the NFL is the most money-making sports league on the planet, even though it is not globally consumed. You people ask why it costs up in excess of 7 to 10 million for a slot on the Super Bowl. There's your answer why.
Yep.
And I just want to give you kind of a bit of insight. Like I've basically gone to damn near as much as I can every NFL game in London. I know you love the London games. So
I do.
Props to you for that.
I do.
Props to you for that.
I do.
But what you don't see, or what you may see, is that the type of people that are coming there. We're talking about people from all over the continent. I've had plenty of beers and conversations with people from Hungary, with people from Deutschland, with people from even Italians are coming over here, wanting to consume the NFL. And the demand is so big that Goodell and the powers that be had to rise above that. I mean, people travel all over the world to see the NFL, and what's special about it is that you get the diehards that not everyone has the disposable income, as you had mentioned in your clip, but some diehard Steelers fans are going to flood Paris this year, and
yes,
the
yes,
Parisians are gonna love it. But
Yeah.
I met this older couple. It was years ago when you mentioned rivalry games, when it was the Jets Dolphins at Wembley and we won.
I remember.
They were like, Fitzpatrick went off.
Yeah, it was Fitz. Yeah.
He was great. But they were saying to me, they're like, oh, this was just another excuse for us to come to London and da 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 da. It just brought like smiles to my face, and to hear, what's his name? Reinhard was his name, from where is he from? Frankfurt. The man just loves NFL, and that's why it has continued to go on and go further. And you mentioned they are greedy. Like, listen, we don't even have to talk about the money issue. We get it.
That's a given. We all know that.
Yeah, we get it, just as you said, my friend. But it's like, I think about the people, that consume this sport a lot. Like Sky Sports over here, we have Ndamukong Suh as one of our main broadcasters, Jason Bell over here. These guys are getting paid to talk about the games that they televise, but diehards like me have NFL Game Pass. So I got 4 screens on at the same time. And of course, as you know, the NFL season never ends. So I'm always watching Good Morning Football, so on and so forth. I think what's interesting about the Australia game for me is that there are lots of Kiwis. The All Blacks, the rugby, they are like the most successful sport team in history. They absolutely love the NFL, and it's just a hop, skip, and a jump for them to go consume that in Australia. And it warms my heart personally because it is literally my favorite sport. I live, sleep, eat, and breathe the NFL. And to see it being embraced, while, when I first moved to London, everyone's like, oh, egg ball.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be called football, it should be called egg ball. But now that everybody is just loving it. I mean, you go to Texas all the time with your father-in-law. The day FA game in Mexico makes absolute sense because that is Cowboy Nation. They just
No,
can't
it
get
is.
enough
It
of-
is.
They
It
can't
is.
get enough of them boys. So
Yep. Oh, let me just say one thing. It's SD.
yeah,
Hold
go
on.
ahead,
So
please.
think about
please.
this, right?
Yeah, I talked a lot. Yeah,
No,
go
it's
ahead.
all good. The salient points, and I'm with you. Obviously, the economic growth, all that stuff. And I wrote this down, and you said it pretty early because I wanted to be able to get back to this. You said that the demand was there. Well, when you say that, the response has been there. I would challenge you and say I don't think that the demand was necessarily there because that means, or you would be insinuating that people were clamoring in Australia or Rio de Janeiro or Paris. We want foot. No, I think the NFL just took it, brought it there, and they have been receptive to it. But I don't think that they were screaming and begging for it. So the demand, I wouldn't use the word demand. I would reposition it just myself. That's just my opinion.
You know what? And that makes sense. And actually, there's no way I can prove that, having heard you. But don't you believe? Because I know that Game Pass is accessible in all of these countries in their currency. Don't you think there's some metrics and analytics that the NFL had kind of deep dove in and say, right, these IP addresses are consuming lots and lots of football,
To an
more
extent,
and more of our game.
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, that's
so I agree with you. I agree with you.
to an
But I just
extent.
wanted to kind of push back on.
I got you.
And I think when I say demand, even though it might be the wrong word to use, it's only based off of what I see. When I see people from different countries literally flocking to the NFL just to see games, when it wasn't 9 games, when it was only 3, and we had all 3 of them London. When I saw that, it was just like, these guys get it, man. It's like they get it, and because people, not a lot of people are consuming baseball, I believe, say in Greece, but they are the NFL. Baseball over here in the UK is actually is on the rise, and it's
I know
great.
it is. I know.
And I wish, you talk about rivalry games. Guess who was at London Stadium watching the Sox and the Yankees?
Oh, you went to that?
Yeah, and the Cardinals and the Cubs. Yeah, man. Those, I wish they would bring them back almost. But
the Mets and the Phillies. Didn't the Mets and the Phillies go out there as well?
They did. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, absolutely right. And like the other thing is, this guy, you might not know him. Anyway, he plays for Wales. He's a winger. Luis Reed Zammit. He loves the NFL. He actually quit his international career and quit his club career over in the rugby Premiership, the Gallagher Premiership over here, to actually go to the combine in the NFL.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, he got signed. The Chiefs tried to deploy him as wideout first. No, running back first, because he's a winger, so he's really, really slippery and fast.
Yeah.
And then they used him on special teams, but then they cut him in the end. I mean, obviously, you would know that rugby and NFL football are 2 different sports, but it just for an absolute blazing young kid like Reece Zammit to like just fob off his career in rugby to go chase his dream of playing in the NFL. That's got to say something, my man.
It does. But again, and NSD, good call, man. I'll check back in. Good call. Good things to chew on. I like the counterpoints. We agree on a lot of the stuff, but I'm happy you made the call. Yeah, it's not about, thank you for doing that. It's not about the viability. Those are 2 very different things. When I talked about this the other day, it's me pushing back on how American fans are, in my opinion, being penalized. Not that it's not working overseas and the globalization of the game is a waste of time and it's not good and they're not making money. And, in 15, 20 years, even less, that residually they won't reap the rewards of, this early plan that they've hatched to expand the game globally. All those things are happening. I understand that. That's very easy, basic stuff to comprehend. This goes back to, I guess, what's the limit, man? Like, what's the limit? And to me, when you take a game away from Lambeau Field or, Cowboys Stadium or Heinz Field or Arrowhead or some of these. I mean, listen, you could take them from MetLife all you want, but I mean, like some of the real good venues and great, fabled fan bases in the NFL. To me, now you're doing a disservice to the people who built the league. And that's all I'm saying. And, I did this the other day, right? The growth it's impressive for sure. And the response has been impressive for sure. But I just wonder what the limit is, because when they broached the concept, this came up in the early 2000s where they were thinking about this. And the first time they did this was in 2005. They had one game, and it was obviously in London. And I'm like, oh, that's unique. That's cool. That's appealing. 6 hours from New York. All right. Logistically makes sense. All right. I like it. Football early on a Sunday. I'll take it once in a while. Then the next year, and I don't know the reason why, there were none. And then, they were still very conservative. In 2007, they had one. And then for the next 5 years, it was two. 08, 09, 10, 11, and 12. Two. And again, they were just kind of sticking their toe in it, throwing a line out there, seeing if you get a nibble, early stages, early phase of rolling this out. And then they started to, all right, hey, listen, this has gone well. Let's try another one. And then in 2013 and 2014, they had 3 international games. And guess what? And 2015. So they had 3 straight years where they went from 2 to 3. Then what do you know? I mean, now it's like, hey, let's push it to 4, which is what they did in 2014. Like, now we got 4 games. All right, now it's a little nuts here, in my opinion. And then in 2017, they had 5. And now it's like really a little cavalier, in my opinion. Again, not everybody shares that opinion, but that's fine. And then for whatever reason, they regressed and they went back to 3. Then COVID hit. Then they had, a soft relaunch, if you will, where in 2021, they had 2 international games. And then right away, it went to 4. And then in 2023 and 2024, it went to 5. And then it went to 7. And now it's up to 9. So my question is, my only contention, my only problem with this, ST, is not the economic viability or the growth of the game, but at what point are the American consumers, those who help really truly build the sport, being penalized to a point where it's unfair? And I believe we're crossing that boundary when the Chiefs lose a home game, or, you had the Eagles and the Packers playing Brazil. I mean, come on. I mean, and then and in some of these other games too, the problem is that some of these other games are going to really, in large part, determine, divisional supremacy. Where the hell is that? I got so many. No, I can't find it. But from the other day, if you want to put like an obscure matchup out there just to kind of, all right, you give them something. Not that the fans of the teams that don't matter wouldn't be pissed off. They would, but you don't have to send them like Chiefs Chargers, or Chargers Raiders, or Niners Seattle, or Niners Rams going out to Australia, right? Week one they've got to go to Australia. Think about the logistical impact flying out, and the Niners, based on their schedule and what they've got to do this year, like the mileage count is just, I don't think it's healthy on the body. I mean, that's not really my concern, but it's an aspect of it that they don't consider because they don't care. That's why there's now 17 games, and then there will be 18, and before you know it, there will be 20. So this is me just checking the NFL a little bit. You guys don't have to accept it. You don't have to agree. I'm not trying to shove it down your throat. All I'm merely doing is illuminating, understand what's happening to you. Year by year by year by year, take a little more, take a little more, take a little more, take a little more. And you're going to look up at some point, and it's really going to be barely recognizable. It's going to be a shell of what it once was. And if you're okay with that, that's fine. I'm not here to convert you. Now, you do what you want. I'm just telling you, I don't like it. I really don't. I really don't like it. If are we going to get to a point? Now, eventually, my Jets will be competent. And as you know, I think they'll be a little bit more competitive this year. They better win that first game against the Titans. If you don't beat Robert Saleh and Tennessee, who's not going to be very good this year, I don't think. That's going to be a rough tone for the season, man. But either way, eventually the Jets will be good. I mean, if the Jets were really good now, if they were the Bills and the Jets were playing the Bills or the Pats or another really good AFC team, the Ravens, somebody like that, in Australia or in Greece or in Paris, I mean, I would be incensed. This is tame right now. I'm just trying to be the good guy protecting you, the American football fan, while also seeing the global benefits. But if when this intimately impacts me, and I know they play the Dolphins overseas and the Falcons, like I know they've gone overseas, obviously, but they've been so bad it hasn't mattered. There's going to be a year where the Jets finally have their franchise quarterback and are messing around and winning 12, 13 games and have a chance to get to the Super Bowl. And if one of those games is, 15 hours away, 6,000 miles away, whatever it is, and just throwing numbers out, I'm going to be pissed because it's going to be a competitive disadvantage. That's all. So I'm just separating the economic viability, which everybody can understand because it's pure, irrefutable mathematical data. And on the other hand, I'm just like, understand what they're doing. Understand 7's going to be 9, which it is. 9's going to be 11. 11's going to be 15. And then before you know it, there will be expansion and there will be multiple non-American teams. And if you're okay with that, great. That's fine. If you're okay with an international Super Bowl, fine. You have more limits than me. I don't want to see that. You know what I mean, Jay?
Straight up. We've got a couple more calls.
All right, let's get them up real quick. I got a couple things. I got to take the kids to the orthodontist today.
Oh, I see.
No
fun.
Yeah, let's get the calls, man.
All right, cool. I just toss it in, and then they just got to
toss it up. Toss it in. Cool. Let me begin. Yep. Who do we got?
We've got Charlie from Pearl River, New York.
Charlie in Pearl River, home of the Irish police officer. Right there, Charlie. What's going on, man?
How you doing, BT? Great show.
Thank you,
just wanted to say, I was just listening to you talk about the NFL going overseas and whatnot. I just wanted to ask, what do you think the ultimate end goal is for the NFL? Is it to add teams overseas? I know, like the Jaguars, the Jaguar owner wanted to, was
Shad Khan.
Yes, I heard. He's very interested in going to London.
Yes, absolutely.
And do they plan on doing that? And like you said, it's right now with the way travel is and everything, and I mean that seems to be like a big disadvantage for certain teams.
Well, think about this, Charlie, and I'll let you finish. So there is a disadvantage. What do I think for a couple things there? What do I think the ultimate goal of the NFL is? At this point, I think their ultimate goal is to play a game on Mars. That's what I'm starting to think, number one. Number two, like the travel and the logistics, which is a competitive disadvantage, is one thing for whatever teams and the Jaguars will be one, I think, that eventually, move off American soil. But what about the disadvantage in terms of attracting free agents? Like, think about that. Now, you might say, some people might think it's glamorous. Like, but if I was born and raised, where I was born and raised, and I was in the NFL, whether I was playing for the Jets, the Giants, or the Chiefs, or the Raiders, or the Rams, I think I'd want to stay in the United States. I don't think that I would, there's the kids, schools, and it's just a lot to consider. So I just think they're going to keep going and keep pushing. I do think that there will be teams in Europe. I do think there will be an international venue for a Super Bowl. And I think that's just the start of it. And I think other teams and other sports will start doing it more. And we will become ultimately desensitized to it where it becomes normalized. So that's why I'm in the early stages of pushing back, just so people know where I stand. But it's going to happen.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. And also, just another thing, too, if they expand to Europe, what about if they expand to South America or Australia? I mean, now you're talking, like, how could they possibly even do that?
I don't know. I mean, to expand to Australia, it seems to me, while I guess nothing's impossible with advancements in travel, I mean, that seems incredibly far-fetched. But thanks for making the call there, Charlie. But you never know. Who knows what they're crafting. Appreciate it. Who's up next there, Jay? Fire him up, buddy.
Got our buddy Benji.
Benji. What up, Benj?
I think, Benj, is your mic muted?
Come on, Benj. Come on.
Sorry about that. Hey, BT.
Yo, what's up, man?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. I think I spoke too soon on the Yankee stuff with the Fried injury, but hopefully it's minor. And
yep,
it's
I'm not too worried. I'm not nothing yet though today. I'm not worried. I'm worried about the offense, which is kind of gross to watch every day, but I'm not worried about Fried.
Yeah, even my kids know JC Escara is kind of terrible, but
yeah, I'm more worried about Wells because he plays more.
That's true. He's been brutal this year.
Oh God.
What has he got? 3 home runs, 5 RBIs. Terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But
exactly what he has.
but terrible. On our Knicks, what an amazing result last night.
Yes.
Now, if the Cavs can seal the deal here and end this series on Friday, it opens up so many possibilities for me on a schedule level. Like you, I'm a father. I've got two boys. It just makes, number one, I know I'll be there on Sunday.
Yes.
Which is glorious. So that's non-negotiable.
Yep.
And then number two, I'm heading out east for Memorial Day, as I always do, to open up the summer. And the Tuesday to Saturday break is glorious because it creates no travel issues, no delays. And
what do you mean Tuesday to Saturday? You're not off Wednesday, Thursday. Oh, there are. Yes, that's true.
Yes, they are.
Let me look.
Yes.
No, you're right. That's in both possibilities here. Hold on, I do have a screenshot. I want to make sure we're buttoned up on this. Hold on. I thought I sent it. I had it somewhere. I had it last night. I thought I sent it to myself. Here we go. Thought I sent it to myself. Jared, did I send it to you? What? I had it. Where the hell did I send it? Damn. Either way, of the two scenarios, because there's still two versions here, there's only one situation where there would be, and I don't like 3 days. I know it seems to fit your schedule. 3 days kind of getting out of the flow a little bit there. Give me the 2 days. Everything else is it's 1 day, but then there would be the 3 days. You're right. In one of the scenarios, yes.
It's perfect. When you're someone like myself and it's a whole journey in itself just to get to watch the games, that type of stuff is important. But as far as the Cavs go, amazing matchup for us. I mean, look, we're going to bludgeon whoever is in front of us, but with the Cavs, I'm just not, they never scare me. They scare me a little bit more with Harden versus Garland, but they do have more obviously offensive players that are worth noting than Detroit does, right? Detroit
Definitely
has nothing. The Cavs have Strus. They have Merrill. They have
Max Strus from DePaul. I remember watching him against St. John's when he was at DePaul, and obviously with the Heat before this team. But I'm like, this guy's an NBA player. I remember he dropped 40 against St. John's. I'm like, this guy's good.
He saved the Cavs last night. I mean, he makes key plays. As we know, back in his Heat days, he always tortured us. So, look, we're rolling, man. It's an amazing matchup. The stars are aligning. All the Knick haters are getting their scrapbooks out to make the excuses. But whatever it is, we're going to take care of business in front of us. Now, for game one, my wife is for game one. She's got the game ones. She went to game one of Atlanta, game one of the Philly series, both wins. Means she comes back for Sunday, assuming they seal the deal. Now, Tuesday, game 2, 8 p.m., likely an 8 p.m., 8 or 9 p.m. tip-off. I am summoning Brandon Tierney to join me here for a game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Let's get this done.
Oh, my God, Benji.
Magical journey, and let's roll.
Right. Okay, here's what we're going to do. When you hang up, get your number. First of all, give your phone number to J-Rod, number 1.
Gotcha.
All right, number 2.
Toss it in the private chat.
We're getting serious now. Yeah, don't chat it for the whole world. Otherwise, everybody's going to be knocking your door down, trample me, and they want to go with you. Tuesday, what's the date on that? I know it's coming up next. What's the exact date again?
It is May 19.
Hang on, May 19th.
It's either going to be a 7 p.m. or an 8 p.m. tip based on my experience. I think it'll probably be 8 p.m.
Okay. Let's see. I'm looking at the schedule. All right. Practice. This is all just for Tuesday. Practice. Basketball game for my son. I'm not coaching that night. This might be happening, dude. This might be happening.
The cosmic stars are aligning. All the Cavs have to do is win a basketball game at home, get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and we're ready to get to the finals ourselves and make this magical journey continue. So
you're the best, man. Make sure you give him your number and real
drop
fast.
That number in the chat.
Got you.
Yeah, not in the chat.
Not in the chat, the private chat. You know the feature.
Chat. Real quick, Benj, and then you and I will hook up off air. He'll shoot me your number. I'll shoot you mine. What? Just give me an answer. Give me a number. If it's the Cavs, Knicks win in how many games, in your opinion? Fast. Go.
I want to say 4, but I say 5.
4? Wow. If it's the Pistons, Knicks win in?
I want to say 5, but it's going to be 6.
All right. So you're a little more fearful of the Pistons, which I kind of get.
They're dirty.
Yeah, that's okay. So we're dirty too, man. Mitch could get in those weeds. We can get a little dirty. Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges. How's that appendectomy? How's that feel there, Embiid? We could be a little dirty as well, but I hear you.
They try to be dirty with my guy Cat and get him frustrated, but that's not even going to happen because the Cavs are going to close us out on Friday, and we're going to.
We just got to make sure Cat gets back to not picking up all these fouls. He's starting to go back into that routine, and I'm not going to start bagging on him because he's been great, but I would like to see this trend end immediately. Benji, I'll talk to you probably later. I'll shoot you a text. All right.
Thanks, BT. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, man. How awesome is that, J-Rod? What are you kidding me?
Come on now. Get this
Wow.
guy to the ECF.
I used to go to Knick playoff games all the time with my dad.
Oh,
All the
man,
time.
really?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's so sick.
We used to go, I mean, not just playoff games, but I remember he'd always get tickets like, oh man, I would say 5-6 games like December, January. And I like remember seeing up on the little scoreboard at the Garden, like they would, I mean, it was the older Garden. So it was just like, it wasn't visually or aesthetically, beautiful like it is now. Although back then it seemed pretty futuristic. Either way, it would tell you who's coming into town. Like, Knicks Warriors. I'm like, oh, Mullen's coming into town. His only trip here. Or Knicks Bulls. Oh, Dad, we gotta go watch Jordan. And it's funny. I used to go a lot, and sometimes we had amazing seats. We never had horrendous seats, but he always got pretty good tickets. God bless him, man. And I remember one time. I don't think I've ever told you the story. I'm going to keep it short, and then I'm going to bounce. So, Bill Cartwright, a big, gangly center, who was actually pretty good, 3rd overall pick out of San Francisco back in the day for the Knicks, right? Either way. And this is not him early. This is him right before he was kind of dealt in that Oakley trade. Knick fans were all over him. And his nickname was Medical Bill because he was always hurt. Bill Cartwright, Medical Bill. It's actually pretty witty. I remember reading that in the papers when I was young. So what I would do is and you could do this at the Garden back in the day. You can't do it now because it's just too much security. I would say I was probably like 10, 11. I'd say, Dad, I'm going to go watch the layup line. I'll be right back. He'd be like, yeah, go ahead. He didn't worry about anything. So I'd run down and I'd get pretty close to the court, man. Mm-hmm. And I remember sometimes I get the occasional fist bump, very rare, once or twice. And then I went back to the seat. And this one night, the fans were just, all over him. Cartwright would having a rough game. I think he picked up fouls. He missed a dunk. Just a rough night.
Yeah.
And he really was a nice guy. I kind of felt bad for him. Patrick was already there. So they were trying to do that Twin Tower experiment with Hubie Brown, which didn't work out. Either way, then what I would do at halftime is I would run to the tunnel, right? Instead of the layup, I'd run to the tunnel right by the Marty Glickman radio booth, and I would really get high fives, right? And then, sometimes I'd lean over and I'd get a little bit too close. And one time the cop was like, all right. Oh, actually more than once. All right, kid, you get a little, come on, go back to your seat. You have a ticket? No. All right, go back. And I remember, so I was kind of used to the deal. So whenever then, of course, I'm going to respect the officer. I'd wait 10 more seconds. But whenever he'd say, all right, kid, you got to go, I'd string it out. Then I'd leave. And this one time he's like, hey, you got to, kid. And I'm like, I know, I'm going. He goes, no. He goes, this night where they were booing Bill Cartwright. This is a true story, hand to Bible. He goes, this is from Bill Cartwright. And he throws me up Bill Cartwright's white towel that he had on the Knicks bench, bro. And it had NYK stamped on it.
Oh,
it was an official towel for the Knicks.
That's sick.
And I don't know how Bill picked me. I don't know how that happened because I was 10 or 11, wasn't that loud. I wasn't sitting on the court, that's for sure. It was like the Mean Joe Green commercial with the Coca-Cola with the kid in the tunnel, the old one from the late 70s, early 80s. And can I tell you for that, first of all, that entire year, I would come out of a CYO game and I would wrap that towel around my neck.
Oh, that's too cool.
How great of a story is that, bro?
That's great.
True story.
Dude, the only guy I've met at a game is I have a pic from when I'm 16 with Scalabrini.
Oh,
That's
Scally.
hilarious.
Scalabrini.
Dang, that
White
is so
Jesus,
cool,
Scalabrini.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Man, jeez. What was his other nickname? He had
White Mamba. He's the White Mamba.
No, that's right. What I say? White cheese? No, that's
White
what I meant.
Jesus.
Well, I knew that didn't sound right. Yes, the White Mamba. That's right. The White Mamba. Oh my God, he's funny. He does a show with Frank.
Was he
does a
also?
good job.
Oh no, the Red Mamba was Matt Bonner.
Matt Bonner from Florida.
Yeah.
Right, played at U of M.
Play for the Spurs. All I know
no,
is
I'm saying, but he right in collegiate, he
Yeah,
played for the
yeah,
Gators, right?
I
Played
think
for Donovan.
so.
I'm pretty sure he did. He had a brother too, Bonner, right? Didn't they
what's
two
his
of them?
name? Yeah. I mean, neither of them were,
I
stars of any
No,
right.
no,
I guess Matt Bonner did that free throw line dunk during the dunk contest.
I don't even remember that. Well, no, Brent Barry did that back in the day.
Brent Barry.
Wait, did that. With the Clippers.
Yes.
Yeah, no, not Bonner. I don't think Bonner was doing that. No, Bonner's lucky if he's squeaking one down. I remember him dunking too much. All right, man. Let me bounce. Hey, shoot me Benji's number. I think I'm gonna have to.
Sir. He got me his email. So I'll send you that. I don't know if he's sending me the phone number, but
I got you.
We'll
Take care of that. I got you. Good job today, J-Rod. Appreciate it, buddy. If you guys missed the Aaron Boone interview, obviously, some of the stuff is potentially a little dated. I mean, unless Max Fried is really hurt, because he talked a lot about Weathers and talked a lot about Warren, who's more equipped to move to the pen. Any aversion to maybe having 60% of a rotation lefties, which is what you would have with Fried, Rodon, and Weathers if it is Warren to the pen. Talked about Jazz, talked about Volpe, talked about Lombard. You got to see this for yourself. What he told me about George Lombard, to me, gives me no doubt that Lombard will be in the Yankee uniform this year. He will be playing for the Yankees, and I believe he will be playing in October. So if you missed Booney yesterday, it was great. We hit a lot of different stuff. Go check it out. Some of the other stuff. I know Joe came up today. If you missed the Joe B interview, check that out. I got to maybe follow up if there's any interest on the Rothenberg angle. Pop him on the show. Get to know him a little bit. Try to squash the beef with Jerry and Rothenberg. So everybody have a great Thursday. I am back tonight at 8 o'clock with myself and Jake Asman and Rich Samini, the Jets Collective, episode number 8, breaking down the entire Jets schedule. We know that they'll be in Tennessee week 1. We know, or at least we strongly think, they'll be home to the Packers week 2, and then all the other stuff. No international trips, thank God, for the Jets this year, but we'll flush through it. So check that out tonight. Have a great day. Like it, subscribe it, share it, get the word out. I'll check you guys later. Bye-bye.
This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host,